I think the movie that won Best Picture this year that we're talking about this year would maybe have not been. Like, do you think A Beautiful Mind would have been submitted as our representative for America?
No.
Shrek.
Shrek. Obviously.
Shrek. Yeah.
In the morning, I'm making waffles.
Whoever said orange was the new pink was seriously disturbed.
And when it comes to huge openings, a lot of people think of me.
Just call me a fuck ass.
Brilliant. Scary. I get nasty when I'm horny.
Welcome to Not Another 2001 Movie Podcast, a show exploring movies released during the first year of a chaotic century. Today, we're going to try to avoid some tripwires. I'm Josh.
I'm Allison.
And I'm Slate.
So, before we talk about today's movie, I'm excited about this question. I want to know, so what I've written down is I want to know something silly that you guys would go to war for, either in order to preserve it or to conquer it, get rid of it. And when I say silly, I more mean something that you feel that you maybe have a personal investment into or passion for that is maybe above the average person. And, keep it light. I think we're all pretty disgruntled about certain things in the world probably, but, for this little moment, we'll think about something a little something that brings us zen that we would like to try to protect.
All right, I'll go first because I have one clear winner, and that is I would abolish Pepsi from the face of this earth.
Oh.
Coke all the way.
Time out. Does that include Pepsi products like Mountain Dew? Because everybody in Kentucky will lynch you if you get rid of the Mountain Dew. So.
Yeah. But, truly, Pepsi versus Coke.
Just the cola.
Coke is the superior product. And, every time, so the Regal down the street that I have the membership to had Coke products forever. They randomly switched to Pepsi 2 years ago, and John and I are furious. I've written them letters, and this is bullshit. I have stopped buying drinks.
Have you really written them letters?
Yes, you can give feedback in the app, and I'm I have stopped buying concessions, which is how you make your money, right? Because Pepsi's disgusting. I'm not buying it. Bring back Coke. The Costco.
She's the girl from White Chicks, dear Mr. Royal Hampton.
Our Costco had Pepsi forever. They just switched to Coke this summer, and I'm oh yeah, I hate Pepsi so much. Coke.
I'm with you there. I'll join you. I'll take up arms with you.
I agree that Coke is better than Pepsi. However, Mountain Dew is far superior to Mellow Yellow, and Wild Cherry Pepsi is better than Cherry Coke.
No, it ain't.
It is.
No, it ain't.
It just
no.
Yeah, Wild Cherry Pepsi's lit.
But we're just talking the colas, the dark colas.
Yeah, I get you. I feel that. I have a few. The first thing that I'm adamant about, one, pineapple does not go on pizza, you sickos. Do not do it, okay? I'll fight you. Secondly, my second and third one kind of go hand in hand. The first part of that is Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
Oh my God.
It's not a Christmas movie. It is a movie that happens on Christmas. But it could be the exact same premise for 4th of July, Easter, any other holiday. The film is just an action movie that happens on Christmas, not a Christmas movie. Fight me, I don't care.
Home Alone is just a home invasion movie that just happens to happen on Christmas.
Yeah, good point.
Practically. But last but not least, this is what I'm dead serious about, and I am very adamant about it. If you know me at all on social media, you see multiple posts about it every single year when it comes to Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. If you are putting up Christmas decorations before Thanksgiving, you do not deserve a plate that day. I will slap that plate out of your hand. Do not touch the turkey if you've got a tree up before Thanksgiving. Black Friday is when that shit goes up, and that is the rule.
False. We've got two front lines here. Josh is in no man's land right now.
Yeah, see, so
I put my Christmas decorations up the day after Halloween.
Oh, no. Shame on you.
It's so much effort to do it that I want to enjoy it as long as possible.
You got to give Thanksgiving some respect, girl.
No.
Allison's turkey goes into the oven with a Santa Claus hat on.
That's preposterous. Now, I will say I did buy my girlfriend a Grinch tree before Thanksgiving this year. I don't even buy decorations before Thanksgiving usually. But I did the PayPal pay in full, so it wasn't paid off till after Thanksgiving. I stood firm on my ground there. We did put the tree up at her house, but there were absolutely no decorations in my house till Black Friday.
I'm pro the Thanksgiving opinion because I love Thanksgiving. It is also my favorite holiday because it's all the good things about Christmas, other than the decorations. Yeah, you don't really have the nice decorations, but I love the food, the family time, the friend time. Like, it's all the good things about Christmas, except you don't have to worry about all the presents and gift giving and like whatnot.
Right.
Like, it's to me, it's the better version of Christmas is Thanksgiving. But pineapple, I can give or take the pineapple thing. I don't mind it, but I don't go out of my way to eat it. But I don't even remember what you said. I was so blown. Like
Die Hard is not a Christmas
the Die
movie.
Hard thing. I'm not adamant about it, but I'm team Christmas on Die Hard because
I fight with my brother about it every single year.
I think we need more diversity on Christmas, and that's a good way to get it.
Yeah.
Well, Terrifier 3 is the ultimate Christmas movie.
Hey,
it is the number one Christmas movie of all time.
I'm down. Black Christmas. I'm down for bringing in. It's a big boat.
Violent Night was actually really good too. If you haven't seen that with David Harbour, who plays Hopper in the Stranger Things series, he plays Santa, and John Leguizamo's in it. It's awesome. It's a really fun action, like shoot 'em up style Christmas movie. It's great. He
John
stabs people with
Leguizamo-
candy canes. It's great.
John Leguizamo isn't a dwarf in that one, is he?
No, he doesn't have a weird accent either, and there's no absinthe, so you're off to a better start.
My silly thing I would go to war for is also soda, pop related. I say pop. If you're a listener, that is soda in what I grew up calling soda. So locally, and just nationwide, it's becoming a thing at McDonald's, which is I only really drink Coke at McDonald's. I'm one of those people. But I am addicted. It's my favorite. It's my biggest vice for sure. And they're slowly but surely kind of getting rid of all the self-fill pop stations at restaurants. Like, they're kind of trickling out, at least around here. They're taking them out as they remodel the stores. And eventually they just won't have them everywhere. That's like the goal, is just to get rid of all of them. And I just think that's sad. It makes, like, you can get, like, it's not that they're ending free refills. If you stick around in the store, you can get as many refills as you want still by going up to the counter and bothering somebody. And ultimately, I don't mind the engagement. When I go to McDonald's, we sit and talk and chum it up with the employees all day. But I hate bothering somebody for something that I can get myself very easily. And just in general, I don't like when I go out to places where I can be sitting 5 feet away from a self-fill refill station, but they insist on having somebody come around and putting water in my glass. Like, I can get up and go put this water in my own cup. It's
That's
just something.
interesting. I hadn't noticed that, actually, and that seems sort of counterintuitive to everything else about the world, where like everything is self-checkout. We're not going to pay someone to do this for you. You have to do it yourself. So that's interesting. I'm like, are they losing that much money on soda?
I think it's actually a psychological thing because again, you can get the free refill. It's not like they're saying you can't get refills anymore, but I think it's that thing of where, well, I don't want to bother somebody. Like, they're just kind of playing that game. It's more about, I think, getting people just out of the restaurant faster.
Yeah, which is weird though. Like, how many people go and sit down and eat at McDonald's? Like, it's not. You're in and out, or you're drive through, or you get it to go. Like, it's same thing with Pizza Hut. Remember, like, Pizza Hut got rid of all of the dining and the buffet, and now everything's in a strip mall. Yeah, oh, man.
That's when Pizza Hut was good.
Walking into a Pizza Hut, and you've got like the red brick walls and the little lamps over the tables,
and the arcade games over in the corner.
The checkered red and white cloth
your
over the
bucket
table.
stamps.
Oh man. But going back to your soda thing, you called it pop. Allison, what did you call soda, or soft drinks when you were younger? What do you call them now?
We called it pop.
pop. You know, the funny thing is,
You call it Coke because everyone around
Yes!
Kentucky calls
I-
it
yes!
Greek
I think
soda.
that's weird.
It
I
was
think
Coke.
the Coke is the
Like,
one that doesn't
That
make
is-
any sense.
That
to me.
doesn't make any
Bro,
sense.
you would come over to our house or you go to a friend's house, be like, "You want a Coke? Yeah. What kind do you got? Like, what kind of Coke do you have?" Well, I got Sprite,
like-
I got Dr Pepper, I got Pepsi. Like,
It
that's-
doesn't- it
Coke.
Hey, I'll have a Coke. You know, yeah, for real.
Like I know I can't remember the word for it, but it's like that thing of like Kleenex is a name brand, but
Q-tip.
everyone calls
Band-Aid.
this like
Yep.
Q-tip or Xerox, whatever. But like all those products are more or less the same.
So weird.
Coke is not every type of
Mountain
pop or
Dew ain't
soda.
nothing like a
Listen,
Coke.
I know.
I'm fully aware of that, but when I was younger, and I've like done my best to break myself of that habit. But like, yeah, it used to be, "Hey man, you want a Coke? Yeah, what kind do you want?" I've got, Dr Pepper, Wild Cherry Pepsi, Coca-Cola. I've got Sunkist. Like, that's just, it's weird, but that's what we called it on the border of Louisville, Southern Indiana side. So
My nieces call LH green Coke.
green Coke.
Oh, do you want a drink? Yeah. Do you have any green Coke? Yep, sure.
Fair enough.
I was pop my entire life until I moved to Lexington, and then I started just because people you hear. I think it's just your body. I wasn't like actively not trying to say pop, but you just hear people say soda or soft drink all the time. You just start assimilating just organically, and so now I interchange a lot. It just kind of. I literally will use all of them. I've never said Coke though. Like
I'm gonna get you on the Coke train, Josh.
No, you won't. Because it's just too confusing. I don't see it. I think the fellas in No Man's Land could have used some Coke. So let's get on with their poor show and talk about this movie.
This feel-good movie of the year, as I said before we started recording.
For those of you joining us now, we have breaking news from the front lines, where a few men are stranded between the two armies.
So No Man's Land, it was an automatic inclusion. So it's not one of the movies we talked about in the draft because it was automatically included as part of the show because it won what was called Best Foreign Film at the time. It's now an award known as Best International Feature. Same thing, it awards a movie from outside the United States that the Academy, the Motion Picture Academy, deemed worthy of that award that this year. So this distinction matters because we are talking about another movie from 2001 later in the year that also won Best Foreign Feature, but this is the movie that won for the year immediately following 2001 at the 2002 ceremony, which recognized movies officially from 2001. We'll get into that other movie later. It's kind of confusing. The way the Oscars works is really stupid, actually, in my opinion, especially with foreign feature. There's a lot of things I think are really dumb about that we will talk about later as part of the bonus feature. But for now, we're going to talk about No Man's Land, which was directed, written, and scored by, which I was really...
Oh, he scored it too.
Yeah, he scored it. That was the kind of maybe the most interesting thing.
I actually like the score of this movie too.
It's good. It's. I think everything he did here works really well. The way I'm gonna pronounce this guy's name. I'm being straight with everybody here. I'm taking it from how Whoopi Goldberg pronounced it during the Oscars awards ceremony. So I'm gonna take take it as fact that Whoopi knew what she was saying in 2002. So Danis Tanović, which looks right. I mean, I would have maybe guessed Danny. He spells it Danis. But Danis sounds good to me. It sounds like, honestly, how I would have pronounced it if I was just reading it back in the hills growing up. So I kind of like that it sounds that it's pronounced that way. It was Tanović's first narrative feature film. It stars these guys. Now I don't know how to say their names, so we're gonna if Allison Slade, if you guys have a better way to maybe go about it, feel free to interject.
Sure.
Branko Duric.
I would have said Branko Duric. I mean, yeah.
He plays Ciki, who is a Bosnian soldier, and I'm gonna say Rene
Yeah.
Bitorajac. It's probably Bitorajac.
good.
It's probably something. There's probably like a inflection there that I'm missing. As Nino, he is a Serbian soldier, and they're really the only protagonists really in the movie. They get trapped together in a trench between two warring front lines, which are the Serbian front lines and the Bosnian front lines. And then there's a third soldier. His name's Sarah, played by Filip Savagovic. He is also a Bosnian soldier who, spoiler, he was presumed dead early in the movie, but turns out he's not. And in actuality, it probably would have been better off for him if he had been dead in the grand scheme of things.
For sure.
Most likely. So, before Tanović directed this, he was part of the. I guess he was part of the Bosnian army, but he was more like kind of like, I guess an HR personnel top role. Sort of more of a clerical role. He handled the war archives, like the film archives. A lot of armies, they usually have somebody who's at least, probably multiple people, but in a lot of cases, at least somebody who's in charge of like documenting what they're doing and kind of just, for his historic fact record, that sort of thing. So that's what Tanović was doing. And that's pertinent because he was involved in a few documentaries before this that covered certain different aspects of this war. We're not going to sit here and talk a lot about this war because really all I know about it is from this movie and from reading about it. Long story short, that area of the country, the Balkan, or the area of the world, the Balkans, it was a very a lot of dispute in terms of who was like supposed to be living where, and it's timely because there are disputes like that happening across the world today still. And something that came up that I was intrigued by mostly, it was the first, it's mentioned in the movie, they talk about ethnic cleansing and they describe it as a new phrase, and I thought that's interesting because because that's a phrase we hear a lot with people talking about Israel and Palestine today. And that it was kind of coined around that time during that war, and so that's what was it's too long didn't read. That was the sort of war this was. It was stemmed from the same kind of conflict as that's happening today in other parts of the world. So Tanović was working on documentaries that it described or that were kind of documenting that war, and in between that he directed a short narrative, but it was also it was rooted in the Bosnian War. It was about a guy, I don't remember, but like exactly what happened. But he the guy at the center of this short feature had been affected by the war, and so this is clearly something that he's really touched by. He was in school at the time. He ended up in this conflict, but he didn't leave. He never left Sarajevo. He stayed in the country or the city he was born in, and stayed in the country, and served in the army, and was clearly, you read interviews with this guy, it's just so clear that he was deeply touched by this conflict that was happening in his country, and that from his perspective, from his country's point of view, they were the victim, and he's clearly motivated by that. And that shows up, I think, in this movie quite clearly. I don't know if you guys agree with that or not, but I think that's pretty well the case.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that he does a good job of really trying to let you feel how the Bosnians feel, especially with Ciki. But he does a good job with the Serbians as well, basically being like, no, like, we didn't start it. And going to, like, your point about not really knowing a whole lot about what this film is about, or not that, what the war was about, not knowing the history of the war. I don't think that was the point of this film. I think the whole point of this film is to show what war does to people, and it does a really good job of getting that point across. Ultimately, I think the whole point of the movie is, who the fuck cares who started the war? You're both acting like idiots, and
maniacs,
this is,
as they say.
yeah, and it's funny you chose to call them the protagonists of the film, when actually, in my opinion, I see them as the antagonists, and I see the French soldier that works for the UN and the guy, and I see them, the UN.
French Adrian Brody.
He looks just like Adrian Brody. It's crazy. It is absurd how, like, that is his doppelganger. And I texted Josh and was like, yo, like, I could totally, if I didn't check it on IMDb, I would have totally believed that Adrian Brody was like, I'm really going to challenge my acting chops and just go for it in this movie, right? But going back to it, is him and the soldier who's laying on the mine seem to be the protagonist to me. and they're trying to get this goal of getting out of this conflict peacefully and saving this man's life, while the other two are too blinded by their hatred for each other for stupidity and dumb reasons, just because they're supposed to hate each other, that they're basically being counterproductive at every turn to what their ultimate goal is.
That is an interesting way to think about it, because I was thinking of protagonists as more as the main characters, because they are the main characters, or at least for a big chunk of the movie. But they are actively not accomplishing anything the entire movie.
That's what I'm thinking about. A protagonist kind of moves the story along, and those two are just stuck in this.
They are trying to stop the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that way of looking at it. I hadn't really considered that. So we'll talk more about the movie in a second, but more background on it. It was shot over the course of 6 weeks in Slovenia and Belgium, so it's close. It's in that area, in that country. I pulled out some quotes that we'll include in the show notes, but something I wanted to touch on, since, again, Tanović is so directly has his hands on this movie with the music, and he wrote it and directed it, and something I wanted to just read here that he said in an interview with the New York Times. This was around the time that it premiered at Cannes, the film festival in France. Film must have a story. If it's a beautiful story, any subject works. You can't make cinema just to show off technique. And he shits on American movies, in that he says, showing how to explode a head in 65 different ways so it looks really beautiful. That's a clip for MTV. Let them leave cinema to real cineastes? I don't ever know how to pronounce that word. I know what it means, but I don't.
No, I don't either. And on a side note, Josh, I'm going to assume that you probably read a lot growing up. And being from Eastern Kentucky, I read and read and read. And often I would see words, I knew what they meant, did not know how to pronounce them, became an adult, and embarrassed myself.
All the time.
Many times.
Mm-hmm. I still do. There's still times I do that. And I mean, whatever this word, I've probably read that word 1,000 times and don't have a clue how to pronounce it. So again, we're talking about it because it won Best Foreign Language Film at the Oscars. It also won a lot of other awards. It won Best Screenplay at Cannes, which is pretty, I think probably in some ways, a more significant accomplishment than winning Best Foreign Language Film at the Oscars, because of some of the other films that were competing in the Cannes Film Festival that year.
Shrek?
Well, there's always a stray
this
animated
list here,
movie.
Moulin Rouge, Mulholland Drive, The Man Who Wasn't There, and Shrek.
Yeah,
Shrek was making its rounds, man. I'm telling you.
There were like 40. I think I counted and can't remember. There were like 35 to 40 movies at Cannes that year, and these were the ones, like the things that a lot of people know and had really obviously good scripts. And and then there's Shrek. It was just, again, I like Shrek, but it was like, okay, it stands apart from the rest of a lot of these.
Right, that's pizza, and the rest of this is caviar.
Yeah. So it also won the Golden Globe for Best Foreign Language Film, which is the Golden Globes are weird, but they for a while, maybe not as much now, but for a while, I think they were a good bellwether for foreign language films in particular, because they had a lot more foreign like reporters and things that were involved with it. So I just note that. But there's other ones. I mean, it was a very acclaimed film coming out of 2001 and went on to win the big one. So since No Man's Land, Tanović has been active. He's directed several movies, including an episode in the life of an iron picker in 2013 and Death in Sarajevo in 2016. Those were both also multiple award winners. They didn't end up getting on the final Oscar list, but they were put forth by Bosnia as the films that they submitted to be considered. So they were at least good enough to be thought of as good enough for Bosnia to try to enter into those races. He hasn't been nominated for another Oscar. He did direct this makes me so sad. The only movie that anyone that's listening to this, if you haven't seen No Man's Land, there's only probably one other movie of Tanović's that you've probably had a chance of seeing, and it might be the only one you have seen, even counting No Man's Land. It's called The Postcard Killings. I don't know when it came out. It was released in theaters. It made like $185,000 total.
I thought it was like one of those mostly Netflix only movies though that came out like right
when
after
did it
the
come out?
pandemic.
It says it came out in 2020.
It was 2020. So
when in 2020?
That I didn't check. Hold on, let's pull that up
Because
I hadn't thought about that.
that
but
was
that's
a
totally
that was a tough year for movies.
totally March 13th, 2020.
Oh shit, that movie was cursed.
Oh yeah,
Poor
that
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
DOA. Oh,
I'm surprised
man.
it even made that.
Yeah, they were sneaking in.
That was all from Florida because they were the only state open.
There was one nursing home down there, like, let us watch Jeffrey. I'm so glad you asked about that, Allison, because that puts that into much
That's
better
amazing.
context. Oh my God, March
Not that
13th.
it probably would have done much better. Who knows? But
I bet it would have gotten to 7 figures.
Yeah, yeah.
Could have
I
made
think
$1 million.
it would have done all right. People, I mean, he was riding the Negan wave really high, still is. And I mean, I like Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Like anything he's in, I'm cool to watch.
He's fucking good in this movie too. I
Yes,
watched the
he
Postcard Killings. He is really good in this. The movie is bad, and if it's your only impression of Danis Tanović, I would hope it's not directed poorly. It's just the script is horrendous. He didn't write it. He came on after the director left, kind of like in pre-production, but it's his only movie that's been like related to American production companies. That's the only one that he's had. So if you like it, then you have him to thank. It was at one point it was in the Netflix top 10 one year, and I looked this up and didn't include it in the show notes, but it averaged like 9 something million views in Netflix's reporting from 2024. So people were watching it on Netflix. So, but you know, what's that mean?
All right, Netflix numbers are very nebulous.
All right, so I think we can now talk a little bit about what we liked about or didn't like or whatever about No Man's Land. I think we all have been pretty transparent about enjoying this movie already, but I'll let you guys take the floor. I've talked a lot.
Yeah, this is a movie that I would say I would not seek out to watch. You know, I generally lean towards stuff that's a little bit lighter, I would say, or like a good horror movie. But no, I thought this movie's really good, and people get really up in arms about movies that are in other languages. It's fine. Like it didn't bother me at all. Like I think last episode I said I leave captions on all the time anyway because it just helps my brain comprehend what's happening, and I don't find it a burden to like read and keep up. The movie's short. It's like 90 some minutes.
Yeah, it's like right past 90 probably.
And every scene serves a purpose, you know, so I felt like there's no filler. I thought the two antagonists, as we'll call them, were both really good. I did find it interesting because, you know, I had read that it was a, quote, dark comedy. Didn't know anything about the movie. And even the poster, they're in their underwear waving the white flag. And you look at it and you're just like, okay, dark comedy. And I was like, that is absolutely misleading.
Yeah, no.
For what this ultimately is.
Yeah.
It is definitely a drama with like some very
slight
dark
humor at the very beginning.
Yeah. I mean, I think for the first 25 minutes, you could absolutely get away with calling it a dark comedy. But yeah, it definitely goes. It's definitely more dramedy.
Yeah. I think they do a really good job of making this film grab you with the humor. Like, it locks you in. Like, it is funny. It catches your attention. And then, like, everything else starts to unfold. And you never lose sight of, like, all right, well, where's the funny now? You're immersed into this. This film, what I love about this film is that this film could not be a film. It could be a play and be completely the exact same and still be amazing. Like, you could go to Broadway and watch this and it would just be awesome. and it doesn't require a whole ensemble cast. It doesn't require all these moving parts. You would have basically like, you know, one stage with really the whole set piece of just being in the trench and the guys on the hill on opposite sides. But it is really like funny at the beginning when, you know, they're lost in the fog and they, you know, the guy wakes up in the morning and he stands up and he says, "Oh shit," and then just pow, gets shot immediately, and you're like, "Oh damn!" And you know, and then
First
the other
time
guys.
I watched that, I was like, "Oh, so this is that kind of movie?" Because I was
Yeah.
was not expecting that at all. Like,
So when he makes them put out they're in
Their
such
cigarettes,
dense, thick fog, and they're smoking, and he's like, "They'll see you," and I'm like, "What are they going to see?"
I guess he's afraid
Like
they're going to see the light on the
The
butt of
light
the
on the
cigarette.
end of the butt of the
Yeah.
cigarette. Yeah.
But
cigarettes
he,
surprisingly play a big role in this movie.
he wakes up and he's like a whack-a-mole. He just sticks his head out of the hole and pow, he's done. He's, oh shit, like this famous last word, shit. And there it is. But, you know, and then you've got the guys on the other end that are talking, and you've got the guy that keeps coming back and forth saying, "I'll talk to HQ," and he goes right back, and then he's like, "Let me know if anything changes." And he's like, "What's going to change? They're all dead." He's like, "Yeah, let him know if the dead walk."
If the dead start walking.
Yeah, you know, and so that whole sequence is really funny. But once everything starts to happen, and you know, the Ciki gets kind of stuck in the little area where the two soldiers are trying to clear the trench out, make sure nobody's survived and nobody's down there, and he's hiding from them. They find the gun, and then, you know, he ends up sneaking around and getting the gun back. They find the gun missing. He shoot, like, that's a really tense sequence, right? And it shows then like what war does to men, just emotionally. Like, that is a lot of stress that you feel as an audience. And
I had a question, because they're meant to be the relief squad. Is that
Yeah,
what
the United Nations. Oh, are you talking about the Ciki's
Ciki's
gang that's
team,
coming
yeah.
through? Yeah, I think they're trying to. They're going to relieve the.
Why they're all wearing like jeans? He's wearing like a Rolling Stones.
they're like
t-shirt
refugees,
and Chucks.
is what I kind of take it as.
So
Yeah,
like
it's,
refugees,
they're
not like a real army.
They have
They're
guns,
militia.
but aside from that, they are very unprepared.
I do think it is more of a militia style thing. Like Slate just said. I think it's, and they're coming in from. I mean, again, because it's a very like it's a war, but it's like a little bit of a non-traditional war in some ways.
It's kind of like a civil war, right? Where they're like breaking
yeah.
away. It would be like the South, like breaking away, you know, from the North in the U.S. at the time and wanting to do their own thing.
Yeah, it's like,
they
like
were
Chiqui's
kind of,
Bubba, and they've just pulled him out of the holler, and they're gonna. They need him to go sit in a bunker somewhere.
But I don't want to go through all of it. But ultimately, I love this movie. I think it's got great heart to it. It gets the message across and shows just the ugliness of what war does to people. The performances are just amazing. They're believable. Like, this feels like an absolute real story that you're involved in, that, you know, could possibly have happened, but you feel like it's a first-hand account from somebody that was there. You know, it doesn't pull any punches. It makes me want to look out or seek out other films that Danis has done. I loved it. I thought it was just a masterpiece. I totally understand why it won Best Foreign Film. It captured my attention the entire time. And I think it's a film that resonates today in the sense that, like, if more people were to watch this and understand, like, not only war, but politically, just like where we're fighting nowadays politically over, you know, what side you're on, who you voted for, what you believe, and just the ugliness of that, even cyber, like on the internet, let alone like what happens in person nowadays. This film resonates today. So I love it.
Well, yeah, because the back half, we've talked a little bit about the trench. I mean, that's the general gist. If you haven't seen this movie, first, I encourage you to check it out. It's, as of recording, it's on Tubi. Yep. No one has an excuse not to watch it. Tubi's free. It barely, I don't remember, I've watched it twice. I ended up picking up the DVD, so that's how I watched it the second time. But the first time, I mean, well, it's weird. Sometimes when I watch Tubi, it's like, I'll sometimes get like a couple ads, and sometimes I'll get like 30. It just kind of depends on, you know, I think sometimes it depends on how I'm watching it, because I think sometimes if you're watching on your phone, it's just like, okay, here's one one. It's like it almost like thinks like, okay, they're watching on their phone, so if they show them too many ads, we're just going to click out and we're not going to keep them, you know. So it's interesting, but so I think it's something though. Generally, it's not a popular movie, really. It's not something, and ultimately, I think you can sit down and. I mean, how many ads did you guys get when you were watching it? You remember?
3, I think. Yeah.
I watched it on my smart TV, like on my Fire Stick, and I probably got 7. But you know, they're quick burns, and they never took me out of the movie at all. Didn't bother me at all.
I think, and Allison, you're talking about captions and subtitles, because that's like the biggest barrier to entry for people when it comes to foreign movies a lot of the times, and I kind of sympathize with that a little bit, but also don't. I know there's people that struggle to read and stuff, so I can be a little sympathetic to that, but I do think, to me, and this doesn't just apply to this movie, but it applies to pretty much any movie. I think an excellent movie for me, like a really. Again, like I think this is very deserving of the awards it received, and a really well crafted, well directed, staged movie. You don't have to have the sound on to understand what's happening, and I think you can do that in this. You could watch this movie just on mute, and you would know what's happening. You would miss out on some things, and obviously you'd miss out on a lot of nuance and a lot of the jokes and stuff. But you would know what's going on without mute, without subtitles. You would get the kind of the what's happening. I think the story would play out really well for you.
So I kept thinking the whole, like, especially when getting towards the end of the movie, I was like, if this was an American-made movie, it would be so different. It may start the same, but, you know, they start to come to an understanding because they know the same girl. The Nino went to high school with her, and you can see them starting to find common ground. An American movie would have had them either be like buddies and try to get out together, and maybe one of them dies or whatever, but they would
set
go
up
for
the
that
sequel.
Yes, or I thought at the very end when the journalists all leave, which, by the way, Josh is a former journalist. I work with journalists a lot, and I was like, really? That seemed they just like kind of believed what
they're
it
just
said,
taking their word for it. Yeah,
we can talk about the journalists in a minute. I've got a lot of thoughts.
So, or the journalists would have like come back and uncovered the truth, and it would be all about like, oh, we're exposing the truth to the world, and making them pay for what they've done, because American movies love to romanticize war. Yeah. And I was like, they would have made it have some sort of semblance of a happy ending, and this movie pulls no punches. Like, everything sucks.
Yeah.
Poor Sarah, doomed to just, I guess, starve to death at the very end of this movie.
It sucks. It's so sad, and that's the authenticity. Like that's like this. I mean, I've not watched a lot of war movies in my time. I'm not like, it's not something I really seek out. Like, which is a good thing, because now I'm going to get this year we're going to watch several so that are kind of iconic for better or worse. So I think that's a good thing. But this is a really high bar, I think, in terms of something that just really puts you. It feels real. I mean, thankfully I didn't have to go overseas. I didn't serve in the Army or anything, but just from, talking to people that I know that have been in the Army or the Navy or what have you, and, from reading, like, I can't think of anything I've seen that felt more real. And I think some of that's based on kind of how it's shot too. Like, it doesn't feel glitzy, or it's very much, I think, Slate, you've mentioned a couple times that it looks like it was shot in the 70s. I think that it does, and I think, and that's a time of, I don't know if that was intentional or if that was just the technology, that they had access to camera wise or whatever, but it works to the film's favor, because that period of time in movies was really gritty, and there was a real authenticity to a lot of how that was shot too. So I think it could, if you told me it was shot in like 74, I would have totally believed you.
Yeah, it looks like an episode of Bosnian MASH.
Yeah.
Going back to what you were saying about, the subtitles taking away from it or anything like that. I did Google it. You can find an English dubbed version of this film that are available basically through Apple TV, pretty much like anywhere that you can purchase it. So you can get an English dubbed version of it if you're dead set on hearing voice actors read the script while it's being portrayed versus reading the subtitles. Although I think that takes away from it more than reading the subtitles myself. And some of the best movies are foreign films that have subtitles. Like the greatest Godzilla movie is Godzilla -1. And it is all Japanese and you have to read the entire time and it does not take you out of it. So I just think give it a shot. And then lastly, going to what Allison was saying, it's so, the whole film, like you're sitting here and you're like, Sarah is fucked, right? He's like, you're instantly like, this guy's dead. There's no way he's going to be able to, and then they make you believe.
Interject for a second because we haven't said what happened to Sarah for the listeners.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Josh.
Poor Sarah. So when he's presumed dead, and when
he got shot in the arm, but they thought he was dead.
Nino and a guy so Nino's a soldier who's like kind of new to the regiment, or he's new to the army. He's a green soldier himself who has followed a veteran soldier into the trench
and
to kind of.
He seems kind of like a doofus.
He seems to not like war. He doesn't seem to be confrontational, and doesn't. I think they said he doesn't even know how to load a gun.
Yeah, he has no interest
the Serbians,
in being there.
I guess the general was like, I need 2 volunteers, and I love that they all just sat there and silence.
He's
Nino
definitely,
and this other guy get chosen to go.
Yeah, he's definitely. It's interesting because I think Ciki he's about the cause. He doesn't strike me like he's not a soldier because he's not dressed like a traditional soldier. So he's not a soldier, but he's someone who he believes in the cause. Like he believes that his team is the right team and is in the right in fighting this war. And I think Nino is. I don't think he cares. Or maybe he doesn't even believe in the cause, but he's kind of there either because he's been drafted or because he has to be. Like I feel like that's the sense. So it's interesting the dynamic between those two guys. I think that it makes that dynamic even more interesting looking at it when you kind of consider that. So he's followed this veteran soldier into the trench to kind of clean it and make sure that these guys are actually dead. And when they encounter poor Sarah, who is presumed dead, the veteran soldier just wants to have fun and puts a mine underneath him.
Bouncing mines.
Under his body, so that when they come to recover his dead body, that it'll kill more of them and blow them all up.
It's his body is keeping the mine from exploding. So that's the catch-22 that Sarah is in once he wakes up and they realize he's still alive. And I think even Nino, even though he's Sarah's quote unquote the enemy, the entire time I feel like Nino wants this guy to live too, which is to me makes that relationship even more complicated.
He looks kind of. I think he looks kind of disgusted when the older soldier is like, "Oh, I'm gonna have some." He literally says, "I want to have some fun," and he's like doing that. And he's just kind of sitting back there, like looking at him, like, "That's your idea of fun." Yeah,
this is not humanity, right? Like this is not what I signed up for. It's kind of the vibe that Nino gives. But going back to now that we've established that, going back to the point, this movie does such a good job of like, okay, you put Sarah in this position and immediately you're like, oh, he's fucked. Like there's no getting out of it. And like, even then somehow they make you think that there's some good that's going to come out of this. Like you said with their relationship of knowing the same girl and like, okay, maybe like these two people can realize that, they're both at odds ends and like, this doesn't have to be this way. And then of course that turns sour, right? And it's like, oh, that is not the route we were going. It makes you think that it's going to go that way. And then it completely pivots and like shows that no, war is still ugly. And ultimately these guys can't get out of their own way. Their pride's too much. And then also the UN soldiers come in to try to save his life. And they bring in the German, mine technician. And they make you think like, maybe he really does have a chance here. And like in the back of my mind the entire time, I'm like, you can't fix this mine. Like once there is no fixing this. And you're sitting here like, oh shit, like this dude's gonna be able to pull it off. And then ultimately the German's like, oh, that's the mine? Yeah, he's fucked.
He's sweating profusely as he's like looking at this mine and trying.
And
to
that
figure,
is so.
like, and they've
I
got
mean, that
the
is so
sound
intense.
design of like you see the sweat driven from his face and you hear it like hitting something.
And that is so intense too. Like even Sarah, like moving his arms to like move, like see the
Every
picture
time he
and the-
moves, it's like
yeah,
your
you're
heart's
just worried.
racing.
Like, what if he takes 1 ounce of weight off of this, right? You know, and but ultimately, like you think, okay, maybe he does have a chance, and at the end, it's like, no, he was fucked from the beginning, and he's still fucked. Like, there's nothing we can do. And
It
it's
made me
just
think
brutal.
of. Did you ever watch United '93? Paul
Yeah.
Greengrass. You know, I thought that movie did such a good job of like you know how it ends. You know the plane's going to crash, but as you're watching it and they're building and building, and you see the people in the cabin coming up with a plan, and I had that same feeling of like they can fix this, and I'm like I know how this ends. You know, it doesn't end well, but like it's giving you the way it was filmed was giving you that hope, the hope that they had, and that's kind of what I don't know if Ciki really believes that they can fix this, or if he's really just maybe he's in denial, or maybe he's just trying to keep his friend comforted, but he didn't want to leave his side.
I think at this time they make it seem like these mines are kind of new, and like most people aren't aware of this style of mine yet.
By
or
the way,
something, and
American-made weapon.
Yeah,
Of course it
American
is.
made. Yeah.
But I think Chiki's like got that hopefulness that like okay we can get out of this, and I think he back of his mind probably believes like he's doomed, but also at the same time like pulling out all the faith that he can to hope that his friend is going to survive this.
But we should talk a little bit about the UN. So this movie has no real heroes. It has a guy who is trying his damnedest to be a hero, and that is
He wants to be helpful.
Marchand, the French Adrian Brody, who kind of they hear about like, oh, there's these two people trapped in no man's land, and he's told not to investigate, and he's like, oh, I'm going to investigate. He's just determined to do something. He makes a comment about like, what is it?
What are we here for? Basically,
what are we here for? We're supposed to stop the killing, but we can't actually do anything. So he needs something, I guess, to validate what he's doing, but the bureaucracy that he runs into.
That's the realest thing in this movie.
Yes, he is so hamstrung at every turn, and the look on his face at the very end when he gets back in the tank, he's just like it's just utter defeat.
Yeah, that right there like says everything it needs to say just in his face. As you can tell, he's like, as soon as my time's up, I'm done. Like I'm not re-signing and signing back up for this. Like.
Well, that's a face that, again, I've never been to war, but I've worn that face in situations like with work and different like things that have come up over the years. You just kind of you've just given up on whatever it is, a relationship or what have you. Like, and it's just it sucks. And
you're punished for caring.
Yeah. And so the only other party we haven't really talked about necessarily, concretely is there is a journalist. I don't remember her name. Don't remember that. I didn't even look up the actress, so I'm sorry. We can.
She's
do
a
that
pit bull though.
In real time.
Isn't it Jane something? Hang on, I'll look it up. Jane Livingston.
Jane Livingston. So she's an American reporter.
Is she American? I thought she was
She's
British.
British.
Or British.
Yeah.
Okay,
she's got a
sorry.
British accent.
British reporter who I thought at some point they said that there was an American media, but it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It's Western, somebody Western and English speaking, and she is kind of the person that Marchand leans on to come in and sort of showcase to the world that this really stupid situation is going on, and basically to help him trigger some action. And she is determined to highlight things in the movie, and she makes a note herself of some things about the absurdity of war. However, she also is ultimately she's self-serving.
Self-serving,
yeah.
But
and trying to just get a good story and get good video with her, cameraman who's with her, and I think she cares, but also her interest is more about ultimately getting good video than it is actually
About saving
doing
a
good
life.
And
journalism.
she's also being pushed by her bosses back at
Right.
headquarters because they're doing a live shot with her, and she's kind of sitting there. She's like, we can't get to them, and they're like, well, just do it, Jane, just go get the shot. And she's like, like clearly like
Yeah.
you have no
She's like,
idea
"Fuck off."
what's happening in this situation, and they're telling you just like it's so easy just to go get
Well,
the
right,
shot.
because your instincts are, well, yeah, as a reporter, you should just go get it. Because it's also like the fact they're having a press conference about like, in the middle of like they've invited, because once Jane shows up, like they end up bringing out a lot of media, and it's like, okay, we're going out to this war zone, but it's like you're guiding, it's like you're a tour guide all of a sudden into a war zone for these journalists, and it's just absurd. Like it's like, and that's a real thing though. Like that's a real kind of thing that happens so it's real but not real. Like you're like when you're like, and that's like I think it's very interesting. Again, this movie was produced and came out before September 11th, and September 11th was not the first important event that ever happened in the world. But for the purposes of this podcast, it is the most significant event that happened in our year, and it had a pretty chilling effect on a lot of things over the course of history, in terms of how the internet and a lot of things that still affect us today work, and not just in America, globally. And I just think a lot of like, even though the media thing it's not a sidecar in the movie, it is a fairly important part to how everything kind of wraps up at the end. But I just think it's a good kind of really tidy picture into what we are dealing with today, and what
and I felt it so much, like working in public relations and working with reporters, and kind of being that like I really respect reporters who can do that and who can go uncover stories and dig, even though when they come to me and they dig and dig, I'm so pissed off about it, but I really like identified with that whole storyline. I felt for her trying to get the story, even though I understand she's doing it to better her own career, but also she does genuinely like hate what's going on and just the conflict. And
yeah, and she's I mean, and like it's like it's mentioned or that look at the feet that Marshawn has at the end. She's staring at him as that's happening.
Yeah. I kept waiting for her to be like, something.
Yeah, like, and I think she knows that. Like, I think she knows. Like, I think I see her looking at that, and she knows that he's struggling with something, but she doesn't know what. And so
she's not able to press him on it.
Yeah, and she can't. Yeah, there's a barrier between them at that point, and it's just so sad. The whole thing is so sad.
The fact that, so just to get to the point of the ending, the German mine guy gets there, sweats his balls off, and he's like, I cannot defuse this bomb. And so now they're all sitting there with these reporters, and they're stalling them, and they're like, we got to figure out a way out of this. And they straight up lie to everyone's faces. They pull the dead, I guess it's the dead older Serbian soldier, put him on a stretcher, cover him with a blanket. They're like, oh, we got it diffused, taking him to the hospital, and they just, have this guy covered. And I'm like, oh God, that's so bad. That's shitty.
And as that's happened, in between that, Ciki Ciki and Nino have been brought out of the trench, and yeah, Ciki finds a gun on another soldier who's laying there dead. And Nino is off in the distance a little bit. And Ciki has this really powerful speech where he calls out the media and the UN people. He basically calls everybody on their bullshit, and then he does successfully shoot Nino across the way. But another soldier, one of the UN soldiers, shoots him because he's,
firing
I think a fair response. Yeah, like it was a good response by that soldier.
But the look on his face,
and yeah, and even
when he realizes what he's done, and they're saying no, you had to do it, and he's just kind of like, oh God, what have I done?
Well, at this point he knows it's a shit show. He's just like, oh my God, this is just awful. Nobody.
And it's all captured like that. That ultimately is the video that Jane gets to send live on air. Is these two soldiers who have been rescued, who should be.
She says something like, these two will get to walk away, but we're still waiting on the third. And then, 5 minutes later, they've shot each other. Yeah.
It's crazy. For going back to Jane, I think her whole purpose is she's trying to hold the UN accountable, because I think she feels like Marchand in the sense that like they're there, but they're not doing anything about it. And she kind of overheard the comms call and was like, bingo, like now we can press them to get them to actually get involved and do something. So I do think that she's, while trying to get the story, also does have like a moral compass there for the most part when that starts to happen. And then ultimately, it's just like, yeah, I mean, the end of the movie is just brutal.
The thing I kept thinking, I was like, so the UN, I would think, would have medical supplies. Is there not a lethal dose of morphine that they can give him to just like let him go peacefully? Because his options are sit up and blow up, or starve to death, or be like pecked to death by
mauled,
some
whatever,
some sort of animal. Like,
yeah, because they just leave Sarah. Like the movie ends with
the sun going down and everybody driving away.
Yeah, everybody goes away. The sun going down, and the last scene. The movie opens with like, I don't know what languages it is. I would guess French, probably of a chant, like a chant that's happening at the beginning, and it closes on that same chant, and with it's just a kind of a wide shot on Sarah laying in the trench, and then it cuts to the credits. So you never hear a bomb go off. It's possible that the bomb fails. Like that's a thing that could happen. It probably didn't, but that is a thing that could have happened. So you could cling to that little piece of hope, I guess. But it leaves you. It doesn't leave you, like you said, Allison. It doesn't leave you with any resolution that like an American movie, like a war movie, would make you like. All those kids, they figured it out and got together. Or even if someone dies, like, because people die in American movies and it can be effective, but it doesn't, a lot of the quote unquote good guys will leave and be, okay. Like some of the people, their sacrifices helped other people. Here, everybody, antagonist, protagonist, whatever you want to call anybody in this movie, none of them leave the scene. You don't feel like anything good happened to any of these people.
And also, just the poor Sarah, like his situation's so terrible, but he also by the end he has like no dignity left, because the media have all, before they start to diffuse, they've come up and there's all
trying
these
to
cameras
interview him,
trying to talk to him, and he's just sitting there like this. Also, he says
trying not
like,
to shit himself.
He's like, I have to shit, and Ciki's like, oh, do it. And he's like, okay, easy for you to say, but like, I can't just like shit my pants laying here. And asks him to like get the photo, and he's just clinging the photo of his, I guess is it wife
or
girlfriend in his hand, and like trying to look at it. And I'm like, yeah, he's just not even a human, it seems like.
I want to go back to what I think Sarah represents in this film, and I think it's extremely important that we discuss it, is that to me, Sarah seems to be like the idealization of the land or the country that they're fighting over. And he's legitimately telling both of these soldiers, one of his best friend, and the other person who he 2 hours ago was trying to kill.
He told him to shoot the other.
Yeah, and he's telling them both, like, you're both acting like idiots. Like, you both need to stop. Like, and it to me, it feels like the land is crying out to both sides, saying, like, you're destroying me because of your hatred for each other. And, like, we need to, like, come together here. This is bigger than both of you. And I love that symbolism in this movie. And I thought it was extremely powerful, well represented, and got the message across, like, so beautifully. And I don't know, I just felt like that needed to be addressed because we hadn't discussed that yet.
Yeah, no, he's definitely the most neutral party in this entire movie by the end. Even though he starts off, obviously he's trying to kill the other side, he quickly becomes, and again, it's like, he's also,
he even tells Ciki, like, hey, don't do anything when you get out of here. Like, be smart.
Yeah. Yeah, he's trying to, he literally, right 5 minutes before Ciki shoots Nino, is telling him not to go do something like that.
Yeah, he's like, let your pride go and just, like, get out of here,
And that's what, like, ultimately, like, I don't think Ciki and Nino hate each other over by the end, I don't think they hate each other over what country they're from. I think they just have gotten aggravated with each other. Being
Yeah,
like, it's like a cabin fever thing more than anything. Like
it's a pride and distrust for each other at this point that's turned into a hatred. Like
well, when Nino sees the chance to leave with the UN and takes it, which any normal human being would do, I think, and Ciki's response is like, "You can't leave because if they know you're gone, then
they're going to kill us.
They're going to kill
Right,
us."
And he's absolutely
And
right.
he shoots him.
yeah, shoots him in the leg.
At first, I thought he shot him in the ass, but then I was like, "Okay, he shot him in the thigh." But
yeah, it's depressing. I mean, I will say, if you want to go, I wouldn't recommend this if you're in a bad state of mind necessarily. But I mean, I do think it's a very beautifully shot movie. I think there's some great camera work in terms of how Tanović uses angles and like who's, there's a lot of early in the movie, a lot of squabbling over between the two soldiers about who started the war and who, and a lot of fun banter
great.
back and forth where so much of it is the perspective of how who has a gun is and how it's shot.
Why should I do it? Because I'm the one who has a gun.
Because I'm the one who has a gun. They both do it to each other.
And it's so cool how some of those shots are. And my favorite shot in the movie, I think, is when they're in that house you mentioned earlier, Slater, whatever it is. It's like a hut. It's like a, like reserves or something are kept there, like a little bunker within the trench. And they're both, like, they're on one side of each side of this door. Like, it's a small room. And there's cannon fire and stuff going because they're both sides are kind of shooting into the trench because they don't know what the hell's going on, so they're just shooting at whatever. They're just shooting at something moving. They don't even know who's in the trench. They don't.
Yeah,
know
they're not
that
sure
anybody's
if
even in the
it's somebody
trench.
on their side. That he's like, I don't know. He's just wearing boxers. I don't know if he's on our side or not. Okay, well just just bomb him and we'll figure it out later. Like
so that's just
the two Serbian guys who were, I guess, in the different trench, and this one, like, one of them's playing but one guy looks just like John C. Reilly.
Kind of does.
I didn't notice that. I did not notice that. Obviously, you're probably putting yourself in that position. Like, what would I do? And it's like, I guess I would just jump up and run as fast as I can. I'd probably die instantly, but it's better than starving to death or getting, picked apart by coyotes or whatever.
Like Josh
else.
said, there is at least that minuscule chance that the bomb's a dud. So.
Yeah. But I mean, but just thinking about all that, and then it just hits you kind of over the head again. Like, like
when I think it's the UN guys are talking about the mine expert, and they're like, I hear that a mine expert only makes one mistake.
he makes the exact thought I was thinking. Marchand, or is it what's his name? Is it Marchand?
I can't remember which ones were,
but
which two we're talking.
When he says, well, he makes two mistakes, and he says, what's the first one?
First
signing up to be a mine. First signing up to be a mine expert. It's like, exactly. That's what I was thinking.
It's like, I know it's hard. It is probably hard to call it a dark comedy straight up, but there's a lot of funny lines throughout this, and even until about the last 20 minutes, there's little lines that like.
There's in the use of all the different languages is really interesting because some of the comedy comes from like two new groups are meeting. Do you speak French? No. Mm-hmm. Do you speak English? No.
A little.
Little.
The other guy's like, just say yes.
Just say yes. He just kept saying yes to everything. But it's so interesting how like there's that become the language barrier, and when the German guy arrives, they're like. Oh, great. He doesn't speak French. He barely does. He speak English?
He does speak a little English.
Just so they're trying the stress of trying to explain exactly what's happening, but like also this guy may not even understand what I'm saying. And
even then, he's trying to tell Nino to tell Ciki, "Hey, this is what we're doing," and Chico's like, I'm not telling him anything. He just fucking shot me. And Chiki's like, I don't need a translator. I don't give a shit what they're saying. And like, so all of that's going on, and it's chaotic and crazy as well. The sergeant or whatever that he's speaking to that doesn't understand anything and silent the whole time looks like Vincent D'Onofrio as Gomer Pyle. like I was just like, it's Gomer Pyle, is that you? But like, yeah, just there's a lot of just chaoticness, but I think a lot of the humor in this is based in like the realism of just how absurd war really is, and like the situations that you put humans in, and it's the type of stuff that, like, me personally, I try to find humor in everything, and I have a weird sense of humor, and like when I'm uncomfortable or something's outrageous and I know it's a shitty situation, like I will blatantly say what it is that is dumb and absurd about it, but it in a funny way, because you have to laugh at it to kind of get through it. And like I think they do that a lot with this film.
100%. 100%.
I mean, we mentioned that cigarettes play a big part.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
Just the
Ciki's just out there crawling in the field for cigarettes while they're trying to kill him.
yeah. But
And
like,
they're like big barter exchange. Like they're all like, can I have a
like
cigarette?
They're Nino and Ciki kind of are first sparring, and like he starts to light a cigarette, then Nino takes it, and then like he's lighting the cigarette, and then Sarah's on the ground and he wants one. So I guess Nino's like, okay, I'll throw this poor guy laying on a mine of bone. Starts to give it to him, and of course Sarah uses it as an excuse to pull him down. The reporter tries to bribe them all with cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect them to play such a big part.
That's totally. I mean, I guess I don't know that part of the country. Maybe they smoke up a storm still, but I imagine that would be quite different if you were making that movie today.
They were probably a delicacy at that time.
Oh yeah,
because
it's set in the '90s. That's something skipped over. I mean, if you know familiar with this war, you would know. But
the early '90s.
Yeah, the war was from '92 to '95, '96, I think, something in that period of time. So.
And I'm willing to bet too, Ciki's side probably has to treat their tobacco like gold, because their supply is a lot lower than what the Nino side.
I did notice. So at the very beginning, he lights it, starts smoking, gets yelled at by the guy. Like,
yeah, he just puts it out with his fingertip to save it.
Puts it out and then puts it behind his ear, like he's not even going to waste that one.
Not wasting it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful movie. Definitely encourage everybody to check it out. Before we go on to the bonus feature, I want to read a little bit of a quote, something I read that I really liked. It's a really good story. I've linked to it in the show notes from Amy Corbin. Wrote an essay about this movie in Film Quarterly in 2006. I'm just going to abbreviate it here. Over and over, characters expect something to happen and it never does. In this way, No Man's Land defies any association between the action genre and the war genre. For to equate the two is to say that war has a narrative, which is to say action leads to a climax and a resolution. Tanović rejects this assumption, instead showing how war is about the tension of waiting for something to happen. I think that really does sum this movie up, and oftentimes sums up what war is. Mm-hmm. All right, bonus feature time. So a little more lighthearted conversation, I think, for this one. We're going to talk about the best international feature film category and just history of that category at the Oscars, because I think it's pretty interesting, so I think other people might think it's interesting too. The Oscars have awarded something that was a quote-unquote best foreign movie as part of the regular awards ceremony since the 1957 ceremony. So that, because this has to be complicated, that's the ceremony that would have been honoring films released in 1956. But technically, that award was first awarded in 1947 as what was at the time called a special award. It's weird. I don't really have a clear understanding of whether those count in the history or not. It's sort of confusing. Sometimes they count, sometimes they don't. So for our purposes, I'm just going to say they count. But those awards, until 1957, they weren't awarded every year. Sometimes there were a couple years where they just didn't name a movie. They also weren't contested. It was just the Academy picking a movie out of, not out of a hat, but like just something they liked from overseas that they felt were significant and deserved some recognition. So just keep that in mind for until the 57, the films mentioned that won that award. That's kind of how they were brought into the fold. So the first movie that was recognized that way was called Shoeshine. Have any of you guys ever heard of this movie? Watched this movie? I haven't.
No.
It's an Italian movie about two shoeshine boys who get into trouble with police because they're trying to find money to buy a horse. It sounds fun. it was very trailblazing. We'll get to in a minute why it was important, a little bit more important. The first official winner in '57 for the year of movies released in '56. It was called La Strada. That means the road, and it's too long, didn't read. It's about a girl who gets sold to a street performer, not like a clown, but somebody kind of like a clown, somebody kind of like that sort of, you could say a clown. That movie was directed by a guy called Federico Fellini. If you've
heard of him,
if you know anything about foreign film, he's probably one of the names you know. He's directed the most movies that have won Best International Feature. He won it 4 times. And then Vittorio De Sica, the guy who directed Shoeshine, he also directed 4 movies that were recognized. Now, 2 of his were those special awards, so depending on how you count them, they're technically tied or not tied. So whatever, it doesn't fucking matter. Italy has been recognized the most. They've won 14. Counting the special awards, they've won 14 times for Best International Feature. That's pretty close, pretty far. Not far, but 14 versus 12 is pretty significant in terms of the history of almost 100 years. 75 years, I guess, for this award, something like that. France has the most nominations prior to 2026 ceremony with 41, and it's won 12 times, so they're in second. Israel's been nominated 10 times and has never won. I thought that was kind of interesting. It's interesting you could be nominated that many times and never really have a chance at it. Now, again, I don't know what was out there, what they were against or whatever. So a little movie called Parasite from South Korea is the only international movie and the only movie that is filmed with non-English speakers to win it won Best International Feature, but also won Best Picture, which is the Big Daddy Award.
Have y'all seen Parasite?
I love Parasite.
Oh my god, it's so good. And I try to get people to watch it, but again, because it's not in English, people have no interest. And I'm like, you don't understand. It is. I thought it was totally. I didn't see it till after it won the Best Picture, but I was like, oh, it absolutely deserved it.
I watched it in the lead up to that ceremony, and I was rooting for it, and I was excited when it won. It's a awesome movie. I don't remember what else was in contention that year, but it's what I was wanting to win. So it's very rare the movie that I want to win wins Best Picture. So
for sure.
I thought this was interesting, and it's a movie that I have purchased as part of this project. I don't know if we'll watch it together, but because it would have to be a bonus episode, and I don't know that we have time for that necessarily. But
Josh keeps trying to add more movies in for us to watch.
We're going to start with 50 episodes and make our way to 150.
Yeah.
The Sun's Room, it was an Italian movie. It won the Palme d'Or at Cannes at 2001. So at the same festival that No Man's Land was screened at, this movie won the crown prize at the Cannes Film Festival, and didn't even get nominated for Best Foreign Feature. It didn't even end up getting nominated for Best Foreign Film, which I thought was quite... and it didn't get nominated for any other award either. I thought that was quite interesting that movie
That is the problem with the Academy, though. They are so political and picky and choosy about, who they think deserves it for what without, it's weird, right? I feel like that happens quite often. I feel like a lot of times you get... films that get selected that don't belong, but they picked it because they like that director and he didn't win last year for a movie he should have won for, so they put him in this, you know what I mean? I don't know, it's weird. I don't necessarily love how the Academy chooses their films, and they've tried to do better about it by making the categories bigger, as far as the amount of nominations that you have, but it's crazy for when you see films that are, winning all these awards at film festivals and Sundance and Cannes and all these other places that don't get any recognition at all sometimes. And it's all right, who pissed you off? Why are you not, giving them, the proper due? It doesn't mean they have to win, but you're not even acknowledging them. It's crazy.
I'm glad you brought up the Academy and some of the weird things they do, because that leads me to my next point. So there were the four. So you talking about expansion? Most of the categories still only have 5 films nominated today, and that was the case in 2001 for the 2002 ceremony. So the movies that were nominated alongside No Man's Land were Elling, which is from Norway; Logon, which is an epic. I don't really know what Elling's about. I'm sorry, I don't know what. It's the movie. It's the least known, I think, of these 5 movies generally. Logon, it's a cricket. It's like a 4-hour long movie about cricket. Like a epic, and it's actually apparently really, like, people love it, and we won't watch it for the podcast.
All right, cool, thank you.
Thank you.
And then Son of the Bride, which is it's like a rom-com-ish type thing from Argentina that looks kind of funny. Like, I watched the trailer for it, and it looked kind of good, but it's like this stuff's really hard to come by. Like, and it's really, like, none of it's streaming really easily from what I could tell, except for No Man's Land. The other one is
Amelie.
Okay, I was going to trust it, maybe Allison, that you might know how to pronounce it. Which is interesting because No Man's Land was only nominated for Best Foreign Film. That was the only award it was up for, and it won. Amelie was nominated for 5 Oscars. And
I remember that. I remember that movie being, and I never got around to seeing it, but it being such a big deal.
I wanted to watch it in the lead up, and I've heard great things. I have it. And I will watch it over the course of this year. And I have a buddy who is really into it. It's one of his, like, I asked him leading up to the draft. He was one of the people I was like, what are some of the things you like? Because he's a really big film guy, and so I trust his opinions. And that was one that I thought about just drafting just as a wild card pick. So we may do a bonus episode with him and have him talk about it or something. But it was nominated for 5 awards, and I think for a minute was considered the front runner, and which rightfully so. You're nominated for 5 Academy Awards. You just assume that's probably going to be the best foreign film winner just by default to some degree. Now, at that time, something that was different that is different from today, the way that voting for that award happened prior to 2009 was you had to verify that you had seen all 5 movies that were nominated. And so that quickly limits.
That? Do they hide a hidden message halfway through?
I mean, it had to be relatively honor system, I'm sure. But, like, it's interesting to think that, well, one, because that's what happens now is there are voters who don't watch everything. They just vote, they do. I mean, I think there's still, like, an honor system, but, like, you had to somehow verify that you had seen all 5 of these movies. So that whittled down, I think, considerably, like, who could have even voted for Amelie, because maybe that was the movie everybody liked the most, but if they hadn't seen, like, if most of the Academy hadn't seen it, then, well, SOL. So I thought that was kind of interesting, but it also did lose the Golden Globe in the lead up. So I think that there was some momentum happening for No Man's Land leading up to the award ceremony. So I'm not going to say like Amelie got robbed or anything, especially because I haven't seen it and can't vouch for its quality. And I think No Man's Land is fantastic. Like, it's hard for me to think, even if I loved Amelie, like, that No Man's Land wasn't an honorable winner. So,
right.
So with all that, I just want to talk about the history a little bit, and also just some of our favorite movies, international movies, things that whether they were nominated for Oscars or not, or if you thought they were robbed or whatever. What is your guys' general history with foreign film, foreign cinema?
I haven't seen a ton. Like I said, like, it's not something I usually seek out, but when I'm kind of required to do it, a lot of times I enjoy it. I did watch several for my film criticism class that I took in college, like Rashomon, Seven Beauties, which I mentioned to you, Josh, which I have on DVD, by the way, if you ever want to watch it.
Yeah.
It was really good. I'm trying to remember what else. And then, like, more recent Parasite, like I said, I really liked, but I'm trying to think of what other international films I've seen of my own accord that weren't kind of like assigned to me.
So for me, I typically, when I'm dabbling in most foreign films, they tend to be shocker horror related. Who would have thought? But so like for me, non-horror related, I guess I've already discussed it, but Godzilla -1 was, I thought, an absolute masterpiece. Like, it's really great at how it leans into the effects that World War II had on Japan after it happened, and they kind of tie Godzilla to that, in the sense that, like, all right, we now have we've taken all these soldiers that have kind of lost their meaning, and the government has pretty much said that they're dispensable and useless, and if they die, they die. We really don't care about our people, and they've rallied around that to help fight off Godzilla. It's really, honestly, some powerful messaging in that film, and I'm excited for the sequel. I love that movie. It is hands down the best Godzilla film. But other foreign films that I really enjoyed horror wise, there's a French film called High Tension, which was like one of the first movies that surprised the shit out of me with the ending. If you haven't seen High Tension, I highly recommend it. It's been a long time since I watched it, but it is one of those things that, like, once you've seen it, you won't forget it. Like, at least you won't forget the ending of it and the surprise that you feel in it. It's a psychological thriller horror movie where these women are, I can't remember if they're in a lesbian relationship or if they're just really good friends. I want to say that they're girlfriends though. But they're being chased essentially by this killer in the woods, and turns out that actually one of them, who's like the protagonist the entire film, you think is the final girl that's running away from the killer, she has a psychopathic split personality, and she is the killer. And it's a really good film. The reveal is really awesome. It's an amazing French movie. High Tension, definitely go check that out.
Didn't they do an American remake of that?
If they did, I didn't watch it.
I gotta look it up now.
But the next film that I would have said that I loved that was also considered foreign would be The Descent. I think that The Descent is an amazing movie for horror.
Okay, if we're counting The Descent, then yes.
It's a British film. That's foreign, right? Like, I mean, the Bond movies are foreign, right? Like, they're British movies. They're not American.
I mean, I guess by the letter of the law.
Don't you talk to me about the letter of the law and changing the rules, Josh. Mr. I took Fast and Furious as a true story film. Okay?
It is. Dominic Toretto is my homie.
But those would tend to be the films that kind of stand out to me as far as foreign films that I really, really enjoyed.
So I'm a big Godzilla guy. I still think the original is the masterpiece, the king. It's still hard for me to shy away from calling that the crown jewel in that franchise. But I love all all the Godzillas. Give me all the cheesier the better, the scarier the better. One of them was GMK, Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah. All Giant Monsters Attack or All Out Monsters Attack was something. It was almost my wild card pick, and I just think it's really good from that era of when they were making those in the early 2000s. It's one of my favorite ones. Pulse, the movie I did take for wild card, is something that I'm excited for you guys to watch. I don't know if you've seen. I've still not seen the American version.
I've seen the American version.
So I'm going to try to watch it before we get around to talking about the Japanese version, just to see how they compare, and because I think that's a worthwhile thing to probably do. Personally, I've been trying to get into this in the last couple of years, the Giallo movies. Have you guys watched any? You might be familiar, Slate, with. It's kind of like sort of like how slashers spawned or from Giallo movies. They're slasher-ish. They're more stylistic than they are like killer running around doing things. So it's a different thing. But I've been trying to get into a little bit of those, exposing myself to more of that stuff. So one I watched this year that I liked. It's called Orgasmo.
Okay.
Which is I believe it's Italian. Is it? Yeah.
It's not the South Park.
No.
South Park creators movie.
Which is a worthwhile thing to note. It's from the '60s. It's Italian, and they're weird. I'm not going to say. I mean, they can be strange, but they're unique experiences. So, I mean, and a lot of those are on Tubi and your Roku channels and that kind of stuff. So, if you want to just expose yourself to some different interesting stuff, I think that's a fun way to do it. It besides that, again, a lot of Japanese movies. The Devil's Backbone is another one I really enjoyed a lot that we're going to be talking about later this year, from Guillermo del Toro. I love Pan's Labyrinth. Pretty much anything he does, I'm really into. Shape of Water. It's like Spanish, right? So it just pretty much anything he does is fantastic. There's something.
Have you seen Frankenstein yet?
Oh yeah,
I haven't watched Frankenstein.
If you are a fan of the book and the material itself, it's pretty damn awesome. He's really paid a lot of attention to the Mary Shelley property and done it justice, I think. And it's a beautiful film to look at. I don't love the monsters get up as far as like the way he looks. He could have been scarier or different looking, but I understand what they were going for there. But Mia Goth, who I absolutely adore, from the Maxine and Pearl series, love Pearl. She's great in it. Yeah, Pearl's awesome. She's great in it, but Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, if you watch it just for anything, even if you're not a fan of like the movie itself, you'll be happy that you watched it just for the set pieces and the beauty that is the film itself.
That's something across all of his movies. The production design is just through the roof.
One more Japanese movie I forgot to mention: Train to Busan. Awesome.
I've heard that's really good. It's been on my list to watch.
Good.
Fantastic.
And going back to Bong Joon-ho, who directed Parasite, I mean, he's done some. I wouldn't consider them international because the cast is mostly American, like Snowpiercer. Last year he did Mickey 17. But The Host, which is one of his early movies, which is a horror movie, all in Korean.
Is that based off the Stephanie Meyer novel?
No. No.
I wasn't sure.
No, so The Host.
I didn't know.
It's the whole premise is like, it's kind of a commentary on pollution. So like there's this creature that grows out of the river because like they've been polluting it, and it basically kidnaps this girl, and her family's trying to, it's rampaging, and they're trying to get her back. And the special effects are pretty good considering that I don't think he had much of a budget, and it was 2006, but it's really good.
I want to watch more of his stuff. That's a blind spot for me. With outside of his Parasite, obviously, Memories of Murder is another one of his that I've heard is really, really great. I've just not seen it. There's a lot to expose yourself to, and that's why I think for me the best thing probably about this category, especially in modern.
Does Moulin Rouge, count as international because so many of them are Australian?
it feels international at times watching it.
Only if you include Elvis as a foreign film as well.
But I do think, well, in that case, can we count Lord of the Rings as
no?
Yep. It's a New Zealand movie.
Then you know what? Ridley Scott is also foreign. So anything that he's in, Aliens, Black Hawk Down, Hannibal,
Gladiator 2.
Yeah.
But I do think that, I'm glad this category exists. I think there are things that obviously I think this probably deserves to be expanded maybe more than like the Best Picture category probably did in some cases. I'm fine with that having happened, but I think you could totally have 10 movies up for Best Foreign Film, and it would be a worthwhile thing to add to in terms of just exposing more people to different perspectives. And also think the way that they go about the nomination. That's the one thing, though, I would change this, I think, before even expanding the field would be, I just think it's silly that, because countries are only allowed to have one movie represent them. So they pick a movie and submit it as their thing that might get them into the Oscar race. And I just think that's really, I don't
unfair.
think that's, I don't. It's like, because maybe Italy was like just killing it and had like 3 superb movies come out. And
well, yeah, I mean that's like, if you think about it,
Are
if
they
it
only
were
allowed
the
to
other way around,
submit one?
yeah,
Yep.
like if you think about it, if it were the other way around, so okay, Anora won Best Picture right a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Anora's awesome, but 95% chance that's probably not the one movie that they would have selected to send.
Right.
If it was to somebody else. Like, same thing, like, The Substance, like all these different things. Like, there's so many movies that probably won Best Picture that maybe not would have been the one choice that the U.S. would have sent to France if France was, where the Academy was based.
I think the movie that won Best Picture this year that we're talking about this year would maybe have not been. Like, do you think A Beautiful Mind would have been submitted as our representative for America?
No.
Shrek.
Shrek. Obviously.
Shrek. Yeah. But that's interesting, is it's almost like they're kind of doing what the Olympics does in gymnastics, where when you do that all around competition, each country can only submit 2, so you get the overall scores at the end of preliminaries. And even though, like, this past Olympics, there was all this uproar because 3 Americans were in the top, like the top, I can't remember how, but like they could only pick 2. And they're like, oh, that's not fair. But I'm like, at the same time, it's giving other countries a shot, because otherwise you'd have like, the Romanians dominating, or the Russians,
right,
or Americans, and like you kind of lose the different flavors of different countries.
Yeah,
that's
the rationalization. Yeah,
but I feel like you could send more than one.
Yeah, so
only being able to send one seems so limiting.
I have a proposal. Why not, like, have people who their expertise is in certain areas of foreign film, like this person, is really adamant about the Middle East, and in that area, and this person is more about Europe, and this person's more the Korea, Japan, China, and have them view 3 to 5 films that are nominated from those countries, and then they select what they think, and then they all
like
put them
have it
together.
do it in stages basically.
Yeah, like as a
I don't know
committee.
enough. Maybe that is how they do it in some way, but I think it might just be. I think it's just a free for all. I think it's like each country picks one and just goes.
Kim Jong Un's just picking whatever Korean. Like.
I did listen to. I don't know if y'all ever listened to. I think Blank Check. But they had
The Frankie Muniz movie.
no.
Yeah,
Blank Check with
Frankie
Griffin and
Muniz.
David. They talk about movies and directors, but they had a Greek actor named Stavros Hokias. Hokias. I can't remember how you pronounce his last name. He's in Yorgos Lanthimos' Begonia. And he talked about, because he's from Greece, he's like, Yorgos's movie Dogtooth, which I haven't seen, but I have kind of read about it, and it sounds absolutely like insane. Like, there's a lot of weird incest, a lot of taboo topics. It sounds like a very uncomfortable movie to watch, but it was like, Greece submitted it and it was chosen, and he was like, everyone in Greece, it was so weird that they're so proud. They're like, this is our movie, yay! And you think about what the movie's about, and you're like, it's kind of
this
weird
is
to be
us
championing incest, and
I want you all to think about if this was a thing that happened where the U.S. is picking one film and it's 2026 and you have like James Cameron and Christopher Nolan fighting over the Odyssey and Avatar and which film U.S. should select to be submitted to the committee.
Well, so Avatar would be for 2025, so they
Would
wouldn't
it
have
though?
to
I mean, it
out.
came out early, but is it still not going to?
Oh
fall
yeah,
Yeah,
it'll
yeah.
be.
it'll be in next year's, and the Odyssey
Yeah.
won't be till 2027.
But yeah,
Oh,
so what? Like, so just we're recording this before
They
the
go
nominations.
calendar year.
So we'd have Avatar. We'd be looking at one battle after another, Sinners. Like, what would we? I
Sinners.
mean, we would send Sinners,
Sinners
right?
is
Like,
good.
we would.
Sinners
like,
is amazing.
But I think what's
So
interesting
good.
is, like, right now, at least at the time of recording, I think most people probably would say One Battle After Another is probably the movie that is going to
Yeah,
end up
I haven't
winning
seen
Best
it yet.
Picture.
It
Paul
came
Thomas
out like
Anderson.
right before I went on my trip to Peru, and by the time
Yeah,
I
I've
got
not
back,
watched.
it was
I've
like,
not watched
Yeah,
it yet.
it's
It's on HBO
available
Max now.
On HBO Max now. I need to watch it.
But yeah,
Kind of
Sinners
hard.
would be the one
We've
we
got
would
all these other
send.
films we've been watching. So.
So I think that's interesting. Like, I'm glad we went down this path because if we were picking the one, I think as a country we would say Sinners.
I gotta remember what came out this year.
I mean, Weapons is my favorite movie that but
Weapons was awesome.
But that's a
Yeah.
personal, like, I'm just like into that kind of weird stuff. So
Weapons was awesome. Weapons and Sinners are both fantastic films.
yeah,
You know, some people would probably push for F1, which is crazy.
it might end up being in the race. We'll know here in listeners will know before we do.
Fair.
Oh, that shark movie that my mom saw that I told you all about.
It wasn't.
It was actually released this year.
Oh, we should send that.
Oh god, it was so boring. So
Oh,
just
go
for
ahead.
context, my mom, who by the way has like a PhD, she is a very learned woman, loves shitty movies, especially if they involve sharks or natural disasters.
Under Paris. Have you seen Under Paris?
No.
It is awesome. It is exactly what you're looking for. It is a foreign horror movie. It's like a European Jaws. I think it's in France, and
But,
they're
like,
having.
Is it not in English? Because she will not watch something that's not in English.
No, it's English dubbed. Like,
Okay.
yeah, I believe. But you know, like, it's basically sharks are living in the sewer, like in the canals under Paris, and eating people, and they're getting ready to do this huge triathlon, and they're flooding the city, and the sharks are coming in, and it's awesome. Awesome. Under Paris. Your mom will love it.
All right, I may have to bring that up next time.
Yes.
So we watched. She makes me pick out movies. So over Christmas, she was just like, "Find us a movie," and I'm like, "Oh God, okay." And I saw Greenland was streaming. I was like, "Have you seen this? This seems like something you'd like." And she was like, "Oh my God, that was the best movie." I'm like, well, there's a sequel coming out. She's like, "Oh my God, I can't wait to watch the sequel." The next night, she hadn't seen Superman, so I was like, "Oh, this is like an uplifting,
I'm out on
cheerful,
James Gunn.
bright movie." And near the end, she just looked at me and she goes, "Did you pay money to see this in a theater?" And I was like, "You cannot be judging me for thinking Greenland is the best movie that you've seen all year." And like shitting all over Superman.
I haven't seen Greenland, but Superman looks like a CW TV show. I can't do it.
Superman's
no,
awesome.
I loved it.
I'm so
it's
out
such
on James Gunn's DC universe.
Superman's awesome. Well, the good thing for you is it'll probably go away once Netflix ends up with
Well, they're
Warner
getting
Brothers.
ready to release a Superwoman movie too. Apparently,
Supergirl.
whatever. Who cares?
the
How about they super fuck off?
the the Greenland. How I learned about Greenland, the movie existing, was seeing a trailer for Greenland 2, and I literally over the
Greenland
weekend,
2,
and
Migration.
I saw the trailer, and I was like, "What the fuck is Greenland?" Like, I'd never even heard of the first movie, and I follow movies probably closer than the average American, and it was like, I've never heard of this fucking movie.
Gerard Butler specialty is shitty action movies. Shitty natural disaster movies. Geostorm.
Geostorm, still better than Superman.
Was he in Olympus Has Fallen?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. He was not in White House Down.
Yeah, I was
He
going to
on
say,
Olympus
both
Has
of those
Fallen.
came out, and I think I watched
Isn't he
both of
playing
them.
an American in that movie with a really, really bad accent?
He is essentially the lead of the Secret Service for Aaron Eckhart, the president,
Oh, God.
and Ashley Judd, the first woman, Kentucky native.
Yeah, our girl.
Oh, right. Okay,
Awesome.
we got sidetracked, but
Sorry, I love that tangent though. That whole thing was great.
Okay. we
anyway,
can-
point being, Into the Deep came out this year. Stars Richard Dreyfuss, but not really. He's another. It's a Laura Dern like shooting for one day. It's one of those situations. Half the time you just see him like on a phone. It's if it had been like trashy and fun, but it was just boring, and the special effects were really, really bad. So
Under Paris, I need the review.
do not recommend.
I need the review for Under Paris. Your mom's gonna love it. Oh, I can't wait.
Okay, so as with every episode, we will ask, does this movie matter? Does its impact mean anything today? Was it more impactful in 2001, or is it more impactful now? What do you guys think?
I think it, given you mentioned in the notes here that, you know, September 11th happens, I would imagine that this movie was more on people's minds toward the end of that year. But I also think it's still relevant today, and I think honestly it's kind of timeless, because war is never going to end, and there's always going to be people killing each other for stupid reasons.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said earlier at the beginning of the show, it's a beautiful film. It's an amazing film. The performances are great. It can be adapted into a play, and it's just pure art at its finest. And it's real. I mean, it brings out real emotion, real consequences, real just issues to light. And the symbolism is not lost on you. It's not wasted. And it, like I said, it ties to even today's time where, you know, we're arguing with each other constantly over what your political and religious beliefs are, which seem to go hand in hand almost with 95% of people. And I think this movie probably matters more today than it did at that time. And it sounds crazy saying that, but I think a lot more people need to either watch this movie because they haven't, or revisit this movie and do it with, you know, open eyes, open ears, and an open heart, and like really take what the message is and take it to heart. Because I don't think that a lot of people do nowadays. It seems to be a lot of people in this climate today are, what, you know, again, online or offline, in person, politically or religiously, seem to be either Nino or Ciki, and it's, you know, stuck in their ways, stubborn, and it's all about who's at fault versus like what's right and what's wrong, or what's a good compromise and how do we get out of this together. Especially as Americans, we're at each other's throats every single day, when ultimately we need to figure out what's best for us as a country and stop fighting with each other.
Well, and everybody, I think what you said there is interesting or on point, because everybody's like Ciki and Nino in the sense that we often are arguing about things that we don't, and it's like we're just arguing to argue, or hating each other just to hate each other, instead of having a conversation and trying to, you know, because people, I think both of these guys are in the wrong in certain instances. Mm-hmm. and again, speaking to someone who's not familiar closely with this war, but like, if you just take it at face value, yeah, probably Serbia shouldn't be trying to ethnically cleanse this area and getting rid of these Bosnians. Like, that's a bad thing. And also, I'm sure there were things that the Bosnian soldiers were doing that were not were unseemly. So I think we struggle at times to have those conversations, because no one ever likes to hear that they're wrong, even if it's over something really stupid that really doesn't, like, people get mad about being told that they're wrong over the most dumb things, like things that have no bearing on the world whatsoever. Like, oh, you're dumb for wearing red shoes with your yellow tie or whatever, you know, like, it's, you know,
or for putting pineapple on your pizza.
Yeah, putting pineapple on your pizza. People just lose their shit over the dumbest things. And I mean, I've watched people flip out. Going back to McDonald's, like, I have, in the time I've lived in Lexington, I can remember 3 times where I've intervened on a patron just going ham on some worker for getting something stupid, like something stupid happened. And I would look at these guys. It's every time it's a old, you know, I call myself middle aged, but like someone older than me, middle age, older, you know, 50s white guy who thinks he's, who thinks the world is just his oyster. And by God, my cheeseburger had mustard on it, and it wasn't supposed to have mustard on it. I'm gonna let this poor fucking 17-year-old know it. And I'll just look at these guys. I mean, I'll just look at them right in their face like, you realize how stupid you look right now, dude? And they, every fucking time, get so embarrassed at somebody calling them out on their bullshit that they just storm out of the restaurant and leave their fucking food that was getting fixed. Every time. And that's all it takes. People just need to call people out on their bullshit when it's actually bullshit, and then otherwise have conversations about things. Like, it's not that hard.
You know, a thing that happened to me that I still think about to this day is, so I teach fitness on the side, and I was teaching at a gym on the other side of town, and they had this big multi-purpose room. It's where they do CrossFit classes and stuff, and I was teaching, a TRX class. So when you're teaching, no one else can use the room. It's like a safety thing. It's distracting for the participants, so that's just a rule basically at like every club. So, and of course I'm not using the whole room, I'm just using the section with all the TRX straps. But this older man comes in, he starts working out, and I have to go over and I'm like, I'm really sorry, got class going on, you can't be in here, I'm done at 6 or whatever. And he was like, what are you talking? And like, my class is going on, I'm pulling the mic away, and I'm like arguing with him. And finally I was like, look man, it's not my policy. Like, go to the front desk and complain if you're that mad, but like, I got to get back to class. He's like, well, I will. And he like stormed out, and everyone was like, what was that guy's problem? I'm like, whatever. He came back and apologized to me.
Oh.
And I was like, I can't believe that you actually, cause he could have just found that out and then like left and been mad.
Yeah.
But I was like, I give you at least some respect that you came back. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize it was the policy. Like,
That's
sorry
nice.
for yelling at you. And I'm like, that never happens anymore, but it's just stuck in my head, 10 years later.
Yeah, usually it's like the Bobby Knight in Anger Management when he throws the book down. The hell with this, I'm going home.
I'm going home. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, so yeah, I think it absolutely matters. I hope, I was just looking up while we were talking about this. It made $1 million in America at the time, so that probably is like 2 or 3 today if you're adjusting for inflation, something like that. So I mean, that's not surprising. Most foreign films don't have a big release anyway. Even today, like something like Parasite, like I think it is interesting about Parasite is it got pretty big. I don't remember what it made at the box office, but it ended up having a pretty good box office run too. So that matters in terms of that. But I don't think if you release No Man's Land today that it would have it would do any worse or better at the box office. But I would love to see it in, kind of something I hope that we can do with this show is, especially with movies like this, that we can have these conversations and point people towards them and have more exposure to movies like this. That, because I mean, I think there's a good chance at the end of this year. I mean, right now, I would have a hard time leaving this out of like my top 5 movies of the year. There's a lot of stuff I haven't watched yet, but like, I'd be hard pressed to not have this on my top 5 or whatever at the end of the year for this year.
I mean, this instantly shot up like to, like, I don't know where I would ultimately rank it, but if I'm going to like my favorite movies of all time that I've, period, like if it's somewhere in my top 50, probably in my top 20. Like, it's a great film. Absolutely love it.
I think because it's very efficient. It's some of the things we've talked about that I think all like is just some efficiency. It's clear on what it's trying to tell and do, and it's just really well put together. There's nothing that really doesn't work about it, and I think that's as much a reason to watch it beyond, even if you just want to ignore all the messaging and whatever. I still think you can just enjoy it for a incredibly well put together movie.
I would add this movie to my personal list of movies that I thought were fantastic but never need to watch again, which Schindler's List is one of those. Children of Men, like movies that were so good but are just kind of so brutal and like, I don't want to say depressing, I mean kind of, but kind of have downer endings.
Mm-hmm. Sit with you.
That I think everyone should absolutely see, but I'm like,
Marley and Me.
Given the emotional state I'm in most days now, I try to keep most of my movie watching pretty light.
Yeah, it was Marley and Me for me. Never need to see Marley and Me again. Never.
Oh, well, thank you listeners for joining us on the front lines of absurdity. Links to all our hangouts, as always, are in the description. If you haven't already, consider watching us on YouTube. I think we are pretty. We got good faces here. We bring out. If you're not watching us on YouTube, you're missing out on some fun clips and things that get weaved in throughout some of the conversation. So that's something to keep in mind. And please subscribe anywhere, podcasts, YouTube, etc. And please give us reviews. We promise to read the good ones. So
I'll just add if you're not watching on YouTube, you're missing out on cameos from my cat, who was so needy tonight, and this is like the 4th time she's climbed on me. So,
wow. Josh and I know the same girl from Banja Luka.
Oh, she was a looker. I think she had red hair.
Hey. Chances are with me, she probably did.
Well, so next week we're going to continue Oscar month with a movie that, spoiler, I quite like, but definitely need to watch again because I've only seen it once, and I think I could probably watch it 5 times before we record our next episode and not understand really fully what's going on. Slate, you want to tell people about this movie?
I am super excited to be heading this episode. We will be talking about none other than the legendary film Mulholland Drive, directed by David Lynch. It is one of those movies that's kind of up there with like Casablanca as far as like the Ides of Hollywood, right? And the lifestyle and the dream and the American dream and everything else. And it's got some great storytelling, beautiful twists and turns. Just an awesome masterpiece of a movie that I can't wait to talk about.
And I haven't seen it probably since the early aughts, so good to revisit it.
As somebody who I'd watched it in the lead up to our draft and hadn't seen it, before then, I would say I think it's another case of something that's probably held up probably better than in the moment when it came out.
I mean, we'll get more into it next week when we're talking about it on the episode, but I think it's a perfect example of Josh, at least for me and you, where we were in 2001 as far as like the naiveness of like the main character in the film. We were so naive to the world, and then 9/11 happens and it like opens our eyes to what everything really is and what's really going on. And so that parallel will be fun to discuss, as we get further into the movie. And I don't think you'll have too many 9/11 references in that film, but I just thought that the naiveness and like the unveiling of like what really is going on is kind of where we were, and it's like, so it'll be fun.
Also, we're recording this late in 2025, but by the time this airs, it'll be a year-ish since David Lynch died.
Yeah. Yeah. So look forward to that. I'm sure we can talk about Lynch some in that episode, I'm sure, and can't wait. It's we'll also be at the quintet mile mark by that point. That'll be our 10th
20%.
episode.
Have we done that many already?
That'll be our 10th episode.
Wow.
Which means we'll really be like 10% done because
that's right, 'cause
Josh keeps adding
like, hey,
episodes.
let's watch this 4-hour documentary about cricket for fun for a bonus episode.
We'll add it to a bonus episode. Josh is gonna start doing just bonus episodes, 2
By
or 3 a
himself.
week by himself.
It'll just be me doing
It'll
commentaries.
be you and Steamboat.
You'll set up
It'll be
like an AI version of yourself that you can talk to.
He'll be like, "This is my cat Steamboat. What did you think of the movie?"
It's not a documentary about cricket. It's a feature film, a narrative feature.
A 4-hour-long feature.
Yeah, I saw 4 hours. Like, yeah, ain't no fucking way I don't even want to watch it. Like, yeah, I don't. Okay, on that note, we will see you guys next week. Or we won't see you, but you'll hear from us next week. And in the meantime, try not to get shot over a cigarette, please.
Yep. See you
Catch
later.
you on the flip side.